What's the deal with y'all, man? You already know what it is. Big cap, no cap, just capital. I know last video I gave you guys the 3 things that I felt took my trading to the next level, but today I will be going through the 4 trades that I took this week that allowed me to make 8K in profit. Yes, so we keep things stupid simple over here. No indicators, no weird charts, just a simple strategy that I'm going to go through and break down step by step. Alright, so before we get into the trades I took this week, I'm going to take you guys through my entire trading process step by step by drawing it out. That way you guys get an elementary level understanding of this. It's that simple, guys. And then I'm going to take that same information and show you guys how I used it in the live markets this week. Alright guys, so if you couldn't tell from the last video, I do trade off of support and resistance levels. And for my people who have no clue what support and resistance mean as far as Forex trading goes, I'll go ahead and I'll draw that out. Like I said, I want to start very basic, that way everybody can follow along. So we'll start off easy and then I'll just build on the information, that way everybody can follow along. Support is when a chart cannot break below a level. It can't break below, it always bounces above. It just keeps bouncing off that level. And resistance is the exact opposite. Resistance is when it can't break above that level. So every time it hits there, it just bounces away. Got it? Support is on the way down. Resistance is on the way up. Support, resistance. Cool, we got that covered, right? The most basic of topics, charts only do 2 things. They go up and down, right? But there's also a time when it goes sideways, and that's what happens when a chart gets stuck between support and resistance. You've seen what a chart looks like when it's going up. You've seen what a chart looks like when it's coming down. But like I said, sometimes there's a support zone and a resistance zone. So it'll come up and it'll hit here, and it'll come down, and it'll just bounce up and down and up and down and up and down. These are not areas that we want to be taking trades in, guys. Me personally, what I would do is I wait for something to break above, come back down, and then this is my entry. And then I take it back up, right? Or vice versa, if it's on the way down, I'll wait for it to break below, come back up, enter here, and take the trade going down. And we are back. Man, I started having some technical difficulties early this morning. So the previous clips were recorded at like 2, 3 in the morning. My computer got the tripping. My storage got full somehow. I don't know what was going on, but it's all good. Do-rag, quickness in the building. Looking good, but these charts is looking better. Let's get back to that. So here we are in Forex land. So the first thing I do is I find my trend. Like I said, I'm always gonna keep things super simple. So if you don't know what a trend is, all you wanna do is find the general direction of the charts. If I start up here and we end it down here, you know that that's a downtrend. We're moving downwards, right? I'll just use something to identify my trend. I may put an arrow, I may use trend lines. Just something to let me know that we are going down. So then the second step is I start identifying my key levels, my resistance and support lines, like I said earlier. And I extend them into the future, because what you'll see when you start trading is that those zones get respected over and over and over again. So like, for example, this is a support level at first, but it ends up turning into resistance later on. See what I'm saying? So I just extend all of those, all the major ones. So same thing here. Started off as support, ended up becoming resistance level. Support, and then I'll just use this line that I already had down here. This is another support level. So then once you have your major ones, eventually you'll develop an eye for little areas kind of like this right here. So this isn't a major resistance zone, but it is an area where the chart just seemed to randomly reject that. So I like to make a note of those too. Actually highlight those yellow on TradingView. But what I'll do on here is I'll put a dotted line, because it's not a zone that we've seen that's been respected a lot, but it is a potential area for some rejection. So I'm gonna make that a dotted line. Like I said, guys, I do trade off of break and retest of zones. So all I'm doing is just watching how the chart reacts in this zone. If you watched the last video, you know that I talked about understanding candlestick patterns. So as you see, we're moving in a downtrend, but then we got what here? We got that inverse head and shoulders that I talked about. Took this exact trade earlier in the week. Now that we see this, we know that we have a trend reversal coming. So now instead of looking for sells in a downtrend, I'm now going to be looking for buys in an uptrend. See what I'm saying? Gotta pay attention to these candlestick patterns because they really will come in handy. I'll wait for that break of this zone. It comes back down to retest. Here's my entry. So I'm gonna put an E here for entry. You never want to take a trade without knowing what you're risking. So I'm gonna set a stop loss. And the way I do that is I just go a little bit below the last support level in a buy and a little bit above the last resistance level in a sell. So this would be our last support level here. I will go either there or just a little bit below. So I'm just gonna put it right at it and put SL for stop loss. And then what am I targeting? What is my take profit? I have two different approaches of setting a take profit. So one that's really safe and will usually hit like at a high percentage is just setting your take profit at the most recent resistance level above it, just to close that gap. So this would be a safe take profit right here. But what I've been having a lot of success doing is setting it at those zones that I talked about earlier, where the chart just kind of seems to throw a random wick, and that would be this area right here. This is a major key. I told you guys, if I feel like something's important to me, I will tell you it's a major key. So the reason I set my take profit here is because, like I said, I trade off of breaks and retests. So it's not just gonna hit here and then fall all the way back down most of the time. What you're gonna look for is for it to go above and come back down. So what I've been having a lot of success doing, instead of my take profit there, what the chart will do is it'll come up, hit there, maybe go a little bit past, but it doesn't matter. My take profit gets hit, and then it'll come back down. And when I start seeing some rejection, I'll get in again. So this will be another entry. And this is how I sniped AUD/CAD all week long. I think I had three really good entries back to back on this chart, on that chart. And this is the strategy I use: simple breaks and retests, and then just knowing my candlestick patterns, like I said. All right, so now that I ran through the complete strategy, now I can take you to the live market and show you how I took this exact setups and used them in real life, real markets. So if you go to AUD/CAD, like I said, I sniped AUD/CAD all week long. We was going crazy. So my initial entry was literally exactly like the one we drew earlier. I saw a downtrend forming. As you see, I marked it up using my trend lines just to show that the motion was going downwards. Noted that there was a head and shoulders coming, so I drew that up and then got my entry at the base of the shoulders. So as you see, I have two triangles drawn to represent the shoulders and then one going down to represent the head. So I put my entry at the base due to this wick. Remember those little zones I told you guys about? That's exactly what I used here. So I set my base at that wick, ended up getting an entry, and look at it, man, that's just a crazy entry. So as you guys can see on this one, I did have my take profit set to the bottom of these candles right here. I put it in yellow because it really wasn't these wicks, it was more so these smaller wicks right here, and I use that because of the wick it through right here. But I just like to try to catch as many wicks as possible. I don't really go for the tips, I go for where I can get the most action on my line. So that trade was last week, and then after that I just used this same setup. So this is my initial entry. Now I'm looking for break and retest of that same level. That's how I'm thinking. So that's exactly what I waited for. And if you see, I already had my line drawn here because for the head and shoulder pattern. So I just used the top of that as my entry. Ended up sniping, almost got no drawdown. Crazy entry. And then because I am looking for the trend to continue, I put my take profit a little bit above these, just at the top of this zone that I have drawn. And the reason that I drew this zone was because we had a lot of action going on here. So when there's a wide range of action, I put a zone. And if it's just like little precise wicks being thrown, then I'll put a line. So that take profit was hit and then ended up drawing back down. So I used just the bottom of my zone for one more entry, put my stop loss at the previous take profit of my initial trade, just because I felt like if it was going to reject anywhere, that would be where it would reject. And then my take profit is set at the top of these wicks here, just to close that gap. So it's all about just looking for the next zone. You have to trade zone to zone. So those are my trades on AUD CAD this week. I ended up taking 2 more trades on CHF JPY. And if you look closely, it's almost the exact same setup. Head and shoulders pattern got me my initial entry last week. And then after that, we had some drawdown. And I'm still thinking buy. I'm just thinking because on the 4-hour chart, this is just a break and retest. So we break this, come back down, retest. I used the top of the head and shoulder pattern again, and then took that just to the zone because we had a lot of consolidation here. So I knew that it had to at least come up and hit there. So I set that just to be safe, ended up closing very well. And then I ended up using that same entry point for a sell. So I'll go to the 1-hour chart so you guys can see what that looks like. So use that same exact line, put my take profit to close these gaps right here, and ended up working out beautifully. So this was a great week for me. Can't complain. I'm up 8% for the week. And I did it all using the strategy that I showed throughout this video. So it's literally that simple. You don't have to have any crazy indicators, no crazy, weird, complicated strategy. It can all be as simple as this elementary style drawing. All right, so that's it for this video, guys. I showed you guys my exact trading strategy, drew it out for you, and then even went through and showed you guys for the trade that I actually took this week on my FTMO account. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully I did a good job, explaining these things, made it as simple as it can be for you. And yeah, drop a like, man, comment, subscribe. I'm out of there.